Where do dream strangers come from? You wake up and the dream is already fading. But one detail stays perfectly clear. A face. Someone you have never met. A stranger who felt completely real. Someone who spoke to you, threatened you, maybe even loved you. And then you realize you have absolutely no idea who they were. Where did that face come from? Here is the uncomfortable answer: you have almost certainly seen it before. The face-making problem. The brain does something remarkable with faces. More neural real estate is dedicated to processing human faces than almost any other category of information in the world. There is a specific brain region, the Fusiform Face Area, that activates the moment you see a human face. It is tuned to subtle differences: the distance between eyes, the angle of a jaw, the particular curve of a smile. This region is so specialized that damage to it causes a condition called prosopagnosia, face blindness. People with prosopagnosia can see perfectly well, but they cannot recognize faces. Not strangers. Not friends. Not their own reflection in a mirror. What this tells us is that the face processing system in your brain is a dedicated, high-priority module. And it runs constantly. It never really turns off. Even during sleep. Researchers who study prosopagnosia patients and their dreams have found something striking. These patients, who cannot recognize faces in waking life, also report highly atypical dream characters. Their dream strangers are blurry, featureless, or emotionally present without a clear visual form. The part of the brain that normally constructs face-based identities is damaged, and the dream cannot compensate. It needs that system to build its people. For everyone else, for people with intact face processing systems, the dreaming brain has full access to everything it has ever recorded. How many faces do you see in a day? Think about your day yesterday. How many faces did you actually see? The obvious answers: coworkers, family, a friend at the coffee shop. But push further. The cashier at the grocery store. People in the background of a YouTube video you watched for 3 minutes. A face on a billboard you drove past. Strangers on a platform. The profile picture of someone who commented on a post you scrolled past without stopping. Researchers estimate that a typical urban adult encounters somewhere between 3,000 and 10,000 images every single day, many of them faces. These are not faces you sat down and memorized. They are background noise. Peripheral information. But the Fusiform Face Area processes them anyway, automatically, below the level of your conscious attention. Your brain is recording faces you never consciously noticed. It has been doing this your entire life. Sleep and the memory shuffler. During sleep, particularly during REM, the stage where most vivid dreaming happens, the brain runs a memory consolidation process. It does not store everything equally. It pulls from what it processed during waking hours, weighting by emotional intensity, unresolved social situations, and survival-relevant patterns. Faces are highly weighted in this process. Social information: who is threatening, who is safe, who is uncertain, is relevant to survival. The brain has always taken that data seriously. During REM sleep, the default mode network lights up. This is the same network that activates when you are thinking about other people, imagining social scenarios, or reconstructing past interactions. The amygdala, the brain's threat detection hub, remains active. The hippocampus, which handles memory retrieval, is running in a state that prioritizes emotional and social information. In this state, the brain does not need to generate a face from scratch. It has a warehouse of faces to draw from. Thousands of them. Most stored without your conscious awareness. The stranger in your dream is not invented. It is retrieved. What the research shows: a long-running research project cataloged thousands of dream reports across hundreds of people over many years. One consistent finding emerged: the characters in dreams, especially strangers, do not appear randomly. Dream strangers follow statistical patterns that mirror the dreamer's actual waking social world. Their clothing, their approximate age, their apparent emotional state, all of it tends to reflect the kinds of people the dreamer regularly encounters. People who work in jobs with high social exposure, teachers, nurses, retail workers, report more strangers in their dreams than people who work in isolation. The dream is pulling from the pool of faces available to it. There is also something striking about gender ratios in dreams. Across multiple studies, men report roughly equal numbers of male and female dream strangers, while women report significantly more male strangers. Some researchers connect this to evolved threat detection patterns. In ancestral environments, unfamiliar men represented a statistically higher physical danger. The brain appears to still carry that weighting even in sleep, even in a world that has changed. The feeling of knowing someone you do not know. There is a specific experience in dreams that most people recognize immediately when it is described. You are talking to someone you have never met, but you know exactly who they are in the dream. Not because you recognize their face, but because the dream assigns them an identity. This is your old teacher. This is a person you worked with years ago. This is your neighbor from a house you no longer live near. Sometimes the face does not match the identity at all. The face might belong to a complete stranger while the dream labels them as someone you know intimately. This disconnect reveals something important about how the dreaming brain constructs social reality. It is not working from photographic accuracy. It is working from categories, roles, and emotional associations. It needs a face to complete the scene, and it grabs one that broadly fits the emotional or relational template it is running. This is why dream strangers often feel so real, so known even when you have never consciously seen them before. The identity attached to the face is not the face itself. It is the role the brain decided that face should play. Threat simulation and the hostile stranger. Not all dream strangers feel neutral. Many are threatening. They chase you. They watch you from across a room. They appear at the edge of a dark hallway. One influential idea in dream science, the threat simulation theory, proposes that one core function of dreaming is to simulate and rehearse responses to danger. If this is correct, the presence of unfamiliar and potentially hostile figures in dreams is not random. Your brain is running threat scenarios and populating them with faces that read as unknown, and therefore potentially unsafe. The Fusiform Face Area does not just identify faces. It also evaluates them for threat. Unfamiliar faces trigger a mild amygdala response, a background signal of uncertainty. This is true even during waking life. You feel it when you walk down an empty street and pass someone you do not recognize. In dreams, that signal can amplify. The stranger at the end of the corridor is not random noise. It is your brain running a social threat drill with a face from its existing archive. The paradox of recognition without memory. There is a related phenomenon in waking life that points in the same direction. You are walking through a city you rarely visit, and you see someone across the street. Something about them feels familiar. Not recognized, familiar. You cannot place the face. You do not know the name. But the sense of knowing is unmistakable. This is sometimes called cryptomnesia, hidden memory. A stored impression surfacing without the label that should accompany it. The face was stored, but the context around it was not. So what you experience is the feeling of familiarity without any conscious explanation for why. The dreaming brain operates in exactly this mode. It retrieves faces from deep storage and presents them to your sleeping self, and your sleeping self accepts them as real people, without questioning where they came from. The sense of reality in a dream is not based on logical verification. It is based on the fluency of the experience. And a stored face, even one from your unconscious archive, feels perfectly fluent when it appears. The people you forgot you saw. Here is where it becomes genuinely unsettling. You almost certainly have seen the faces that appear in your dreams. But you do not remember seeing them. Not because your memory is poor, but because the storage system for incidentally encountered faces operates entirely below conscious awareness. This has been demonstrated experimentally. Participants shown a rapid stream of faces, presented too quickly to consciously process, later show measurable recognition responses to those same faces when tested. The brain registered them. The person cannot consciously recall having seen them. But they are stored. The dreaming brain pulls from exactly this kind of archive. A face from a crowd 6 years ago. Someone who walked behind you in a city you visited once. A face in a documentary playing in the background while you made dinner. You never noticed them. But your brain cataloged them anyway. The face that isn't yours. One more detail that most people have never thought about. You almost never see your own face clearly in a dream. You know you are you. You feel your body, your perspective, your sense of self moving through the dream. But your actual face, the face that belongs to you, is rarely visible. When you look in a dream mirror, the reflection is often blurred, shifting, or simply wrong. Why? Because the fusiform face area does not process your own face the way it processes the faces of other people. You do not encounter your own face in the same repeated, passive way you encounter the faces of people around you. Your internal self-model is assembled from a different set of inputs: social feedback, the sound of your own voice, proprioception, emotional self-perception, not from repeated visual exposure the way other faces are. The dreaming brain has a warehouse full of strangers' faces. But the one face it cannot easily retrieve is yours. The people you never knew you knew. Dream strangers are not inventions. They are the residue of the social world your brain processed without your knowledge or consent. Every person you passed on a street corner. Every background figure in every video. Every face in every photograph you glanced at. They went somewhere. Filed under encountered but unnamed. And when you dream, the brain opens that archive and starts casting the characters it needs. The stranger who threatened you last night might have been standing behind you in a supermarket 3 years ago. The face that looked at you across a dream table might belong to someone who appeared for 4 seconds in a piece of footage you watched once and immediately forgot. You passed them. You forgot them. They did not forget you. Or rather, your brain did not let them go. Every face in your dreams belongs to someone real. And that means every time you have dreamed of a stranger, somewhere out in the world, there is a real person whose face your brain decided was worth keeping. They have no idea they are in there. Neither did you.